I saw her cheating with my own eyes. In our bedroom. With a sewer repair worker who still had his gloves on. I didn't walk in yelling. I didn't throw things. I stood there frozen, feeling everything collapse inside me. She saw me and laughed. That laugh still echoes in my head. But what happened after? That's where everything changed. That Friday, I came home early from work because my manager said I looked pale. I didn't tell him it was because I hadn't been sleeping. For weeks, something felt wrong. She'd stopped texting me during the day. Said her phone battery was always low. She started locking the bathroom when she showered. Said she needed privacy. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to look paranoid. I didn't want to be that guy. So I bought flowers. A simple bouquet. Thought maybe she was just stressed. I'd come home, surprise her. We'd talk. Maybe she'd smile the way she used to. That week, stupid part of me was still hoping. When I walked in, the apartment was quiet. I heard a noise, something muffled. At first, I thought she was watching a movie. But as I got closer to the bedroom, I realized it wasn't the TV. It was her. And someone else. I stood outside the door, heart pounding. My hand gripped the doorknob, but I couldn't turn it. I didn't want to see it, but I had to. I needed it to be real. Otherwise, I'd keep pretending. So I opened the door. He was on top of her, still wearing a reflective vest. His pants around his ankles. His boots on. There was grime under his fingernails. The room smelled like sweat, sewer, and cheap cologne. My sheets, were bunched around her waist. She looked up and smiled. Not guilty, not panicked. She laughed. "Oh, hey," she said, like I was just early to a dinner party. "Guess you figured it out." I didn't say anything. Couldn't. My throat felt crushed from the inside. He stood there, not even trying to cover himself. Just grinning. I recognized him. He'd fixed a pipe under our building last week. I even offered him a water bottle. I looked back at her. She tilted her head. "Don't be so dramatic, Greg. You always take everything so seriously." I took a step back. My legs were trembling. "You're with him." She laughed again. "Why not? He listens better than you. Doesn't ask a million questions. And he doesn't cry during arguments." I dropped the flowers. Didn't even notice until I heard the stems snap. "You brought me those?" she said mockingly. "That's cute. You really thought this was fixable?" I turned around and left. She didn't call after me. She didn't apologize. She didn't even move. I don't know how I drove. I don't remember blinking. But somehow, I made it to my car and sat there for an hour, watching raindrops collect on the windshield. That was the moment something inside me stopped working. But it was also the moment something else started. I didn't go to a friend's place. I didn't drive to my brother's. I parked behind the grocery store 2 blocks from our apartment and sat there in the dark, shivering with the engine off. I kept replaying her voice in my head, calm, amused, as if I'd interrupted her lunch break, not caught her in bed with a man who smelled like chemicals and engine oil. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't even speak. Around midnight, I drove back. I shouldn't have, but I didn't know where else to go. I thought maybe she'd be gone. Maybe she'd regret it. Maybe she'd say something, anything to make it make sense. She was still there. On the couch, legs crossed, eating chips. Watching TV. She looked at me like I was the one who disappeared for days. "Well, if it isn't the world's most forgiving doormat," she said without looking away from the screen. "Back already?" "I want to talk," I managed to say. She muted the TV with a sigh. "Of course you do. That's your thing, right? Talking, feeling, crying. I deserve to understand," I whispered. She looked me dead in the eyes. "You already saw everything. What's left to explain? You don't even feel sorry?" She smiled and shook her head. "Greg, you're so easy to fool it's actually embarrassing. I've been doing this for months. He's not even the only one." My knees buckled. I sat down before I collapsed. She stood up slowly, walked over, and knelt in front of me like she was consoling a child. "Let me guess," she said. "You were gonna forgive me, right? Say we could work it out? Try couples therapy or something?" I didn't answer, but she saw it in my face. "Oh my gosh," she said, laughing. "You really were. You actually still love me." I wiped my face. I didn't even realize I was crying. She leaned in closer, her voice low and cruel. "That's what makes this so satisfying. You're loyal. Like a dog. You beg for the person who kicked you." I looked down. She grabbed my chin. "You want to know the truth? I cheated because I wanted to feel something. Because being with you is like living inside a vacuum. No risk. No edge. Just routines and soup and soft music and your little goodnight kisses. I thought we were happy, I said, barely able to breathe. She stood up. No. You were comfortable. I was suffocating. She walked to the hallway. Oh, and Greg, she added without turning around. You better cancel the anniversary dinner. I already made other plans. The door to the bedroom slammed shut. I stayed on the floor until the sun came up. I still wanted to fix it. Still wanted to forgive her. But forgiveness is poison when it's handed to someone who laughs while they ruin you. That morning, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. I wasn't angry yet, but I was close. I called in sick the next 3 days. I didn't eat, didn't shower, just stared at the wall and listened to her move through the apartment like she hadn't detonated my life with one smirk. I heard her laughing on the phone, saw her getting dressed up. One night, she came back at 2 a.m. smelling like cheap beer and wet pavement. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. I knew if I spoke too soon, I'd say the wrong thing. Or worse, beg her again. So I waited. And I watched. By Thursday, I noticed a pattern. She wasn't hiding anything. She was getting bolder. She used my computer. Left her phone unlocked. She didn't care what I saw anymore, because she didn't see me as a threat. To her, I was background noise. That was her first mistake. She logged into her social media on my laptop and forgot to log out. At first, I didn't mean to snoop. But then a notification popped up. A message. I clicked. It wasn't just one guy. There were 3. One of them was married. Another sent her photos in a janitor uniform from the school district. She told him she liked the smell of bleach on his collar. Said it made her feel dirty in a good way. She bragged about me in their group chat. Said I cried when I saw her with the sewer worker. They laughed. Called me Safety Greg. Said I was the kind of man you settle for when you're tired of excitement. I copied everything. Messages, images, screenshots. I emailed them to myself from a hidden address. Then I dug deeper. Found a folder on her drive labeled tax stuff. Inside were forged invoices. Fake client work. She'd been double charging people and not reporting the extra income. She used my name on one of the contracts. That's when the shift happened. I stopped being broken. I started thinking. She was sloppy, arrogant, comfortable. She thought I'd never stand up for myself because I never had. She was right until now. I opened a private notebook and wrote down one goal. Make her regret every smile she gave someone else while I was breaking. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to calculate. She made the mistake of thinking I was too weak to matter. But I had time. I had her trust. And now, I had evidence. I started with something small. Not revenge. Just disruption. That Sunday morning, she left for yoga. I knew where she was really going. One of the guys, Gavin, the janitor, had messaged her the night before. Wore that red top. You know the one. She responded with a winking emoji. While she was gone, I logged into her email again. Still saved in my browser. She hadn't even bothered to change the password. I searched for clients, payment, invoices. She had at least 5 people she was currently scamming, charging up front for freelance work she never intended to finish. I forwarded every one of those emails to the clients, using her own account. I said, "Hi, I'm reaching out on behalf of her name. Due to unforeseen issues, all pending work must be canceled. Please request a full refund through your payment provider. Sorry for the inconvenience." Then I deleted the sent messages. She came back an hour later, humming, tossed her bag on the table and went straight to the shower. 2 hours after that, I heard her scream. She stormed into the kitchen, phone in hand. "What did you do?" I looked up from my cereal. "What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. They're all asking for refunds. Every one of them. They said I emailed them." "That's weird," I said. "Maybe you got hacked." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't mess with me, Greg." I shrugged. "Maybe it's karma." She went pale. That word hit her harder than I expected. For the first time since the bedroom, she looked unsure. She spent the rest of the day trying to fix it. Sent apology emails. Made excuses. Told one of them her ex was trying to ruin her life. But she had no proof. Because I had cleaned up everything. That night, she didn't go out. She sat in silence, scrolling her phone, biting her lip. I went to bed before her. Left the door open. She stood in the hallway a long time, watching me. Maybe wondering if I'd changed. Maybe realizing I had. She didn't sleep beside me. And for once, I didn't want her to. The next morning, she got a phone call from a client she owed money to. I heard her in the bathroom, whispering, "I swear, I'm handling it. Please don't escalate this." I smiled into my pillow. It was working. She didn't know where the chaos was coming from. She still thought I was too weak to pull strings. But I had barely started tugging. It started with my job. Monday morning, I showed up to the office and was immediately called into HR. "Greg," my manager said, "we've received a formal complaint." My stomach dropped. "From who?" He slid a folder across the desk. "An anonymous report alleging hostile behavior toward a former partner. Emotional manipulation. Digital surveillance." Inside were screenshots, half true, half doctored. A few looked familiar. They were from our shared laptop. A couple even showed my name as the sender. Except they weren't emails I wrote. "She says you accessed her accounts without consent," HR added. I opened my mouth. Closed it. There was no proof I did anything illegal. But that didn't matter. The implication alone was enough to trigger a review. I was told to take the week off while we sort things out. By noon, my key card access was revoked. I texted her. No reply. When I got home, she was on the phone, laughing. I heard her say, "He'll be fine. He's just recalibrating." I stood in the doorway. She glanced at me, then turned away. I asked her directly, "Did you report me?" She didn't even flinch. "Are you really asking that?" "I lost access to the office." She smiled. "Sounds like they're being careful." "You told them I was dangerous?" She shrugged. "I told them the truth. That you've been acting unstable. That you won't leave me alone." "I live here," I said. "Not for long." That's when it hit me. She wasn't just fighting back. She was removing me. Later that night, I got a call from my landlord. He said a request had been submitted to remove me from the lease, that I'd abandoned the property and had no claim on residency. She filed the paperwork without telling me. I confronted her. "I paid every month for 2 years," I said. "This place is mine too." She sipped wine. "You should have thought of that before you turned into a little hacker. I never touched your accounts illegally. You think they care about details," she said. "You already look guilty." That's all I needed. I felt dizzy, cornered. Every room in that apartment suddenly felt smaller. I couldn't sleep, couldn't think. My heart raced every time the front door clicked. She had flipped the script so fast, I was left clinging to the edges. I tried calling HR, left voicemails, begged them to hear my side. No response. She walked past me the next day with a box of her things. "Going somewhere?" I asked. "Lunch date," she smiled. "He wants to help me get back on my feet." "Who?" She winked. "Someone with a badge." That night, I stared at the ceiling for hours, knowing she had just pulled ahead. And the worst part? I still wanted her to come to bed. I spent the next 2 days watching everything fall. HR still hadn't called back. My keycard stayed dead. My name was being quietly removed from internal systems, like they were just waiting for an excuse to make it official. At home, she floated through the apartment like a queen. Soft music, scented candles, and her smug little smirks when she saw me checking my phone for answers that never came. I realized something. She wanted me desperate. Not destroyed. Not gone. Desperate. She fed off it. So I stopped giving it to her. No more questions. No more pleading. I started smiling again. Quiet, contained smiles. She noticed. By Friday morning, I shaved. Put on a pressed shirt. Walked out like I had a plan. Because now I did. I contacted an old friend from college. Daryl. He worked in IT compliance. A quiet guy. Paranoid. Brilliant. I sent him a message. Hypothetical question. What happens if someone files a false harassment report with faked evidence through an employer's HR system? He replied in less than 10 minutes. If the evidence can be proven fabricated, that's corporate fraud. It's rare, but actionable, especially if the accused was financially harmed. Then he asked, "You got proof?" I did. I had the original screenshots. I had the timestamps. And I had a recovery log from my browser history proving that I hadn't accessed certain files when she claimed I had. Daryl walked me through how to extract metadata. He told me what to look for. We spent 5 hours on a Zoom call reconstructing a digital trail. By the end of it, I had a full forensic timeline. What she sent HR had been doctored. The edits were visible. The inconsistencies were clear. The whole report was built on manipulated evidence, some of it created days after she submitted the complaint. Now I had leverage. Not loud leverage, but slow, boiling pressure. I sent it, not to HR, but to the legal department. Directly. I titled the email, "Reputation Damage Due to Fraudulent Allegations, Evidence Enclosed." I didn't make threats. I asked questions. Am I still considered under review for the accusations? If so, please advise how this timeline aligns with your protocol on internal investigations. I attached the evidence. Waited. Monday morning, 9:12 a.m., I got a reply. We've reopened the file. Thank you for your detailed submission. We will be following up shortly. That same morning, she got a call from her new lunch date. I heard it through the door. No, I didn't forge anything. I swear, they're twisting it. Pause. Wait, what do you mean you're stepping back? Another pause. No, you can't do that. You said you were going to help me. Click. Silence. She didn't come out of the bedroom for the next 2 hours. That night, she asked, "Did you do something?" I looked at her. Calm. Measured. "I don't know what you mean." For the first time in weeks, her eyes shifted. Not with smugness. With fear. I thought I had her. For 2 days, I lived in that illusion, walking taller, eating meals like they had flavor again. She kept her distance, spoke less, stayed off the phone. Her confidence cracked. I could see it in how long she stood in front of the mirror. How she reread texts before sending them. She was calculating now. And I thought that meant she was losing. But I underestimated her. Again. Wednesday afternoon, I received a letter at the apartment. Certified. Stamped. Legal. Summons for an emergency protective order. She'd filed for a restraining order. In it, she claimed I'd been physically intimidating, that I'd monitored her digital activity without consent, that I'd used private information to threaten her career. She cited the job email I sent as evidence of malicious retaliation. I read it 3 times. The more I read, the more it distorted into something monstrous. She made it sound like I was stalking her in my own home. Like she was trapped with a ticking bomb. I wasn't angry. I was terrified. Because this time, she hadn't just lied. She'd weaponized the truth. The documents even had screenshots of the Zoom call I had with Daryl. She'd installed screen monitoring software on my laptop weeks ago, back when I was too broken to notice. She had recorded me building the case against her. And now she was using it as proof against me. I showed up in court alone. She walked in wearing white. She cried, told the judge she feared for her safety, that I was erratic, vindictive, and emotionally unstable. She mentioned emotional manipulation, how I was obsessed with control. Every word was rehearsed, clean, so well delivered that I almost started believing it myself. I wasn't allowed to speak much. The judge granted her the temporary order. I had 5 days to vacate the apartment. 5 days. She stood outside the courtroom after the ruling, smiled at me like we were strangers, like none of it mattered. "You should have stayed quiet, Greg," she said, "but you never knew when to shut up." I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I walked past her and down the courthouse steps with my fist clenched and my jaw tight. That night, I packed my things. Again, she watched from the hallway. Not a single word. Just her arms crossed, like a queen watching a servant collect his tools. As I grabbed my laptop, she added one last twist of the knife. "Oh, and Greg? They froze your review at work. Something about a pending investigation. Guess they're still not sure about you." I didn't reply, because I had nothing left to say. She'd won. For now. I slept in my car that first night. Not because I had to, my friend Joel offered me his couch. But I needed to sit in that silence, breathe that recycled air, and remember what she took from me. My name. My home. My reputation. She tried to convince the world I was a monster. But monsters don't build. And I was done breaking. So I built. I went back to Daryl. Told him everything. The restraining order, the fake accusations, the screen recording she flipped against me. He didn't flinch. He just said, "Time to go bigger." We started working in layers. Daryl helped me map every IP address she logged in from over the last year. Her coaching clients, fake names, duplicate Stripe accounts under fake LLCs. Turns out, she had 6 identities tied to different coaching schemes. 2 were actively under tax audit flags, and 1 had a client trying to sue her already. She didn't know I had her full financial trail. Not just PayPal and Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, bank transfers, even a fake GoFundMe she ran last winter claiming she needed surgery. It was all traceable. And I had it. We compiled a report. Professional. Organized. Every piece of data connected with dates, amounts, and digital signatures. I even added screenshots from her healing account where she told a woman to quit therapy and just trust the universe, then ghosted her after payment. I didn't send it to her. I sent it to the IRS fraud division, then to 3 of her biggest online platforms, then to a lawyer I found through one of her ex-clients. He was already compiling names for a potential class action lawsuit. And finally, just to twist the knife, I sent the full document, anonymously, to the organization that booked her keynote speech for an upcoming virtual wellness summit. 2 days later, they pulled her from the lineup. Publicly. Due to new information regarding ethical concerns, we are removing her name from our speaker schedule. Her post about it was desperate. Vague. Haters can't handle your light, she wrote. But the comments weren't buying it this time. Some of her followers turned. One wrote, "You scammed my friend. She still hasn't recovered." Another, "So you're a victim again? Convenient." I watched her world start to crack, not from outside force, but from within. The same people she manipulated were now asking questions. And that's what she feared most. Losing control of the story. The next day, I got a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Please." I didn't reply. She called twice. Left a voicemail. Her voice wasn't angry anymore. It was trembling. But I wasn't done yet. Because there was one piece left. One secret she never thought I'd find. And when I did it, everything would collapse. She came to Joel's place the next evening. I was in the kitchen when she knocked. I saw her through the window. No makeup. Hoodie pulled low. Voice shaky. "Greg, please." I didn't open the door. But Joel did. He looked at me first. "You sure?" I nodded. Let her talk. She stepped inside like she was entering enemy territory. "Everything's falling apart," she said. "The platforms banned me. Clients are asking for refunds. That class action lawyer contacted my old business partner." She looked me in the eyes. "You did this." I said nothing. "I lost the summit. I lost half my income. You sent stuff to the IRS? You want me arrested now?" Still silence. She dropped into the chair. "I messed up, okay? I lied. I cheated. I ruined things. But this? You want to ruin my life?" "I didn't lie about you," I said quietly. "I just told the truth." She stared at the table. "You were supposed to be weak." I didn't answer. Then she stood up. Voice flat. Cold. "Fine. Then you should know. I filed a full motion to make the protective order permanent." She pulled a folded paper from her bag and dropped it in front of me. "I attached a sworn statement saying you admitted to digital surveillance and retaliation. I gave them the Zoom recording. If the judge signs it, you'll be labeled unstable and abusive. You'll never get hired again. Your next employer Googles your name, game over." I kept my hands on my knees. She leaned down, inches from my face. "You went too far, Greg. And I'm going to end this." Then she walked out. And for a moment, I believed her. She won. Completely. I'd lose the apartment, the chance to clear my name, maybe even face legal action if her story landed right. My email to the IRS? Anonymous. Nothing traced back to me. But her lies? They had structure now. Backed by official words. Typed in legal font. Joel sat down beside me. "You good?" I didn't reply. But something hit me. A whisper in the back of my head. I went to my bag. Pulled out the backup drive Daryl helped me create. The one I hadn't even looked through completely. There, buried in a folder called Taxes 2021, was an audio recording. I hit play. It was her. Recorded accidentally, probably through her own phone's voice memo app while she was multitasking. She was on the phone, bragging to one of her burner clients. "I'm using his name for the business stuff. He doesn't know. It's perfect. If anyone checks the docs, he takes the hit." Silence. Then laughter. "You should see how he looks when I tell him I love him. Like a lost puppy. I could ruin him with one story, and they'd believe me." I froze. Joel looked at me. "You okay, man?" I turned slowly. Because in that moment, everything she built, I could burn. I played the recording 3 more times. Each word sank deeper than the last. She used my name, my identity, my trust, not just to lie, but to shield herself. And now I had it. The proof. Not screenshots. Not emails. Her voice. Her words. It was enough. I called Daryl. Told him what I found. He paused, then said, "That's checkmate. You send that to the judge, she doesn't just lose the restraining order, she gets charged with perjury. Fraud. Maybe worse." We drafted the letter together, attaching the audio, a written explanation, a timestamp log. We included a note requesting an emergency hearing to dismiss the protective order and to investigate falsified testimony. I stared at the send button for a long time. Then I clicked it. 2 days later, I got the notice. Hearing approved. Scheduled for Friday. Thursday night, she showed up. Unannounced. No car. No makeup. Hair soaking wet from the rain. She was shivering. Joel opened the door and looked at me. I nodded. She stepped in, clutching a folder to her chest. Greg, she started, voice barely above a whisper. I know what's coming. I didn't speak. I know what's in that recording. Still silent. Her hands trembled as she opened the folder. Inside, bank statements, passwords, screenshots, refund receipts, notes, a full confession, handwritten. I deleted the court request, she said. I told them I made it up. They're still reviewing it, but they know now. She fell to her knees. I don't have anyone left. They're all gone. The clients, the friends, the followers. I can't go to jail, Greg. Please. I looked down at her, kneeling, crying, shaking. Why? I asked. Why me? She looked up. Because you were safe. And I was scared. And hurting. And when I realized you wouldn't fight back, I got addicted to it. My throat burned. She reached out, grabbing the edge of my jacket like a child. Please, don't send that file. Don't finish me. Silence. Long, heavy. Then I stepped back. She flinched, like I was about to strike her. But I didn't. I sat down, stared at her for what felt like hours. You already lost everything, I said. Sending that won't fix me. She covered her face, sobbing. I stood, walked to the table, picked up the USB with the recording, paused, then dropped it in the trash. She looked up, stunned. You're not going to. No, I said quietly. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. I walked past her, opened the door. She stood slowly, eyes wide. You're forgiving me? I didn't answer right away, but just as she stepped outside into the rain, I said it. What would you do in my place?